Thank you so much for tuning in once again. My name is Snaz. This is my buddy Jake, and we're going to be talking about the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe called Eternals. The movie is directed by the reigning, defending, current Best Director at the Academy Awards, Chloe Zhao. We have an all-star ensemble here. First, we have Cersei, played by Gemma Chan, and her powers include that of transmutation. She can kind of turn things into water, stone, ice, kind of like that.
Yeah.
There's also Icarus, played by Richard Madden, Robb Stark himself, and he has the ability of flight, and he has laser beam eyes. There's also Ajak, who's like the leader, played by Salma Hayek. She has the power of healing, and she's also the one who has the ability to contact Arishem, which is like the celestial judge. Then there's also Athena, played by Angelina Jolie. She conjures up cosmic blades and cosmic shields, like swords out of like thin air. There's also Gilgamesh, played by Don Lee, and his powers that include that of like he has like energy fists. There's also Phastos, played by Brian Tyree Henry, and he's like the team's engineer. He's like the smart guy. He creates weapons for them, and he helps also advance humanity's technology.
We also got Druig, played by Barry Keoghan. He has the ability to take over people's minds, so he turns his eyes this kind of yellow color, and then whoever's mind he's overtaking, their eyes turn the same color, so you know, okay, he's in possession of their mind right now. And it's not just one person, you can do it with like a whole group or tribe of people. Makari, played by Lauren Ridloff. She has super speed. She's basically like, you know, Flash. Flash. She's also deaf, so she's talking in sign language, and all the other Eternals are talking with her in sign language as well. Kingo. It's probably my favorite character.
Yeah.
Kumail Nanjiani. He has these like laser pistols. He's definitely like the funniest character, my personal favorite.
The standout.
Yeah, standout. Sprite is played by Leah McHugh.
I think she's 12, but she is not 12. She just has the form of a 12-year-old.
Yeah. And because they're Eternals, they obviously don't age. They haven't aged in like thousands of years. Dane Whitman, played by the good old Kit Harington. Crow, he's the deviant leader.
And he's apparently voiced by Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård, which is an interesting nugget.
Weird. Like, why? They literally could have been anyone else. But okay.
The Eternals, they're basically an immortal alien race that were sent to Earth thousands of years ago by Arishem the Judge, who is a massive celestial, like an ancient being. They were sent to Earth to protect the humans from the deviants, which are evil creatures who emerge from the dark corners of the early universe. Only when deviants are present can Eternals interfere and step in, which is why we have not seen them before in the MCU, because no deviants have been present before.
We open. Arishem is sending the Eternals on their ship called the Domo, which Naz likes to think of as
like a triangle
Dorito ship.
It looks like a Dorito.
A Dorito ship. They all like beam down to Earth and save this guy fishing in like ancient Mesopotamia, like 7000 BC or whatever. Basically, they become kind of gods to early Earth civilizations, and they help kickstart civilizations like Mesopotamia. We're later in Babylon, and we see like the hanging gardens. You know, that was a really beautiful scene. And we go on to Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan, yeah. And we also get a shot in there of Hiroshima. So it's just kind of like saying they've been around for all the major world events. Cersei and Icarus are in love.
And they eventually get married as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, they're married for like a couple thousand years. No big deal, you know.
So as Jake mentioned before, they were in Tenochtitlan, and during their time there, they witness a Spanish invasion. The conquistadors are coming. This is in the 1500s. And while all this is happening, a deviant invasion is also taking place concurrently at the same time. So during the battle, Athena succumbs to something called Ma'hd Wyry, where it was first introduced to us. Jake and I were like, what is that?
They literally just throw it out like, she has Ma'hd Wyry. And we're like, what the frick does that mean?
Like, what is that?
Okay.
After research, we found out that Ma'hd Wyry is like a psychological affliction that happens due to the vast amounts of memories that the Eternals acquire over time. It affected her ability to reason. She starts attacking her allies, but then she is subdued by her friend Gilgamesh. She's affected by this the entire rest of the movie.
After this deviant battle, there's massacre. So like, you know, Druig, finally steps up and is like, hey, I'm sick of like watching human beings kill each other and hate each other. He's had enough of it. He's witnessed it for thousands of years. That's where he makes his statement, like, I could control everyone on this earth if I wanted to and just stop, like they could just be peace forever. And so he gets really pissed off at Ajax because Ajax has instructions from Ereshkigal to not interfere with human affairs at all.
Yeah, if the humans are killing each other, just let them be.
Let them be.
Can't do nothing about it.
So they're literally at like the top of that temple, and he just like looks out, and it's a pretty dope scene. Like everyone just stops fighting and drops their weapons, and he walks down the steps. Everyone just follows him off, and that's where the Eternals split up from there, and they're on their own for the next 500 years until modern day.
Yeah, because at that point they think that they've killed the last of the deviants, so
yes.
they all go their separate ways from that point. So then now we're in the present day. In 2023, remember, this is 5 years after the snap, so technically this is in the future. Another deviant emerges, and this time they're in London. Cersei and Sprite, they've been living together in London with Dane, who is Cersei's now boyfriend. They fight the deviant, and Icarus also shows up there mid-battle to help against the attack. And then we also see that deviant has like healing powers, which is strange.
Oh yeah.
They're like, we haven't seen this before. Like, what is that? Why is it healing itself?
Yeah. Foreshadowing.
So then, realizing that the deviants have returned, Sprite, Cersei, and Icarus go to find their leader, Ajax, who is living in South Dakota. Upon arriving, though, we see that the deviants have apparently gotten there first, attacked Ajax, and, after. So while Cersei is there over Ajax's body, we see that this ball of yellow light emerges from Ajax's throat and then goes to Cersei and like absorbs it.
It looks like a freaking golden snitch.
Yeah, we're gonna call it
what it is.
Yeah, the golden snitch. Yeah, a golden snitch kind of. Yeah, we're gonna call it the golden snitch from here on.
It does it to Cersei, and then for the rest of the movie, they're all like, "Oh, Ajax chose you, Cersei, to be the new lead of the Eternals."
As she absorbs this, she can now have the ability to talk to Ereshkigal. She's the only one who has that communication power.
Right after this, we go find Kingo in India, and he's filming a movie. So he's this obviously he's been alive for the last something thousand years. He's had this like running thing where he's been acting in movies in India
for the past like 100 years.
Yeah, past like 100 years. And he just calls it like his great-grandfather and his great-grandfather and then his grandfather and now him. He has this hilarious assistant. Karun.
He has an assistant.
So it's like so funny. Fantastic. Oh my gosh, yeah. So they go from India and then they go find Thena and Gilgamesh in the outback of Australia.
And Gilgamesh was like making
fermented beer out of his like
spit beer.
Yeah, it was kind of gross to listen to. Then they all go to modern day, I guess, like the
Amazon.
Yeah, Druid is
kind of like the leader of like a small tribe.
Yeah, the people seem happy there, so they go meet him. They're like, "Hey, we need your help."
The deviants
show up and just boom
and just wreck house.
Yeah, wreck house. Angelina Jolie's having one of her episodes, so they have to put her behind a tree. And she's literally just standing there like trying to fight off her mind, not helping at all. And in the process of this, Gilgamesh dies.
And then while Gilgamesh is killed by the leader of the deviants, his powers are absorbed. And now we also see it that Crow like transforms, becomes more like a human sort of form, and he can now have the ability to talk.
So Cersei is then seeking guidance, and she's trying to get in touch with Ereshkigal. So she goes to a quiet place, tries to kind of meditate or whatever, and then she's automatically in his presence. Dude's like a freaking giant. His hand is like the size of the earth, basically.
Massive.
Plot twist. This is where he reveals his plan to Cersei, that the real reason the Eternals were sent to Earth was to combat the deviants for the sake of making sure the celestial seed, which Ereshkigal planted on the Earth and on thousands of other planets, comes to emergence. And the reason why he told Ajax and them long ago not to interfere with human conflict was because he needed billions of people on the Earth
use it as like energy
for fuel and food for this new celestial that's going to be born. Cersei, she obviously wants to save as many people as possible.
Ereshkigal is also the one who created the deviants for the purpose of destroying apex predators on planets so that the population might flourish. Mm-hmm.
The Eternals were only created by him to counter out his mistake of the deviants becoming
He
predators
goofed up.
themselves.
He goofed
So
up.
that's the only reason why they exist. After that, they go see Fastos, who's living in Chicago. He has his own family now.
They go to Iraq.
Go to Iraq and find Makari. And she's just been chilling in the Dorito ship for the past like 500 years.
Yeah, and
right?
she's collected like
there.
artifacts from like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
She's just in the ship like underground. Yeah.
Cersei fills all them in on this plan from Arishem. They're trying to make a plan to where they can make this unimind, where they can unite all their power together for a specific period of time, and hopefully try to get Druig, to who has mind control, to put the Celestial to sleep. Mm-hmm.
Another plot twist. It was revealed to be that it was Icarus who was the one who killed Ajax.
Icarus wants the emergence to happen no matter the cost, because he is convinced that's his primary purpose in life.
Loyal to Arishem
He's loyal
at
to
all
Arishem
costs.
no matter what.
So Ajax's love for humanity has grown us at this point, and Icarus feels, no, this is going to get in the way of Arishem's plan.
Yep.
And he kills her. The group finds out about this. Icarus tells him, look, don't get in my way. This emergence is going to happen.
Or I'm going to kill all you.
Or I'm going to kill all of you.
Yeah.
And then one of the other Eternals, Sprite, who has had a massive crush on Icarus for like the past thousands of years. I mean, like, who wouldn't? It's a good looking dude. I mean, it's freaking Robb Stark.
Yeah, pretty hot. King of the North, right?
King of the yeah. Goes off with him and helps him to fight the other Eternals. Kingo has heard enough. Icarus was the boss. He doesn't want to fight him. He doesn't want to fight...
Scared of him, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to fight Arishem as well. He and his assistant Karun just peace out here, and we don't see them for the rest of the movie. He was like, I'm out.
That sucked.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it sucked.
Kind of lame.
And we didn't like that part of the movie.
This celestial being is emerging from this giant volcano somewhere in the Indian Ocean. That's where they all fly to. Crow shows up out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, about him.
And finally, Angelina Jolie, they have this fight in a cave. It was very Beowulf-like, which I thought was interesting, because in Beowulf, she was the monster in the cave, but now she was walking into the cave trying to fight the monster. Crow has Thena
subdued, tied up.
Like her hands are behind her back. All of a sudden, she like pulls this move where she makes one of those blades out of energy, whatever, cuts his tentacles off, and
along
just like,
with his head.
Yeah, and she does this like Kill Bill move where she does this like quick like, and then like his head's still there. And then it just like splits off into like 5 different meat slabs. Like
that was a great fatality scene right there.
It's at this point where Fastos, he like lassos Icarus's foot while he's flying away.
Yeah, kind of pulls a Wonder Woman like.
Yeah, and then he's able to drag him to the ground and keep him subdued.
So then eventually Icarus, he becomes free. He goes over and finds Cersei about to put a stop to Tiamat. Icarus was about to kill Cersei, but then, of course, flashback to all the memories of him and Cersei over the thousands of years being in love, and he's like, no, I don't want to kill you. And then
like it shows his eyes like about to do the lasers, like 3 or 4 times, but then he's like,
he's like, I love you. No, I'm not gonna do that. It was also important to note that instead of Druig, who was gonna put a Tiamat to sleep, it was actually Cersei who uses her transmutation powers and like puts her hands on the ground, turns the ground, and Tiamat, who's emerging at this point from the earth, transforms him into like ice. It's another way of putting Tiamat to sleep, I guess, just transforming him to ice. Like, we see his hand coming out of the ocean, and we see his like face kind of popping up over the sea as well. She uses her powers, now amplified with the Unimind.
So she just like put all their power together, and it was channeled through her in that one moment.
So with Tiamat turned to ice, and then that the world is saved for now, the team parts ways at this point.
Thena, Druig, and Makari fly off on the Domo to search for other Eternals, mainly for the purpose of stopping this endless cycle of celestial seed harvesting. Cersei reunites with Dane. Dane was in the middle of revealing something about his family history. He was like, Cersei, I need to tell you something. No more secrets. And she was like, I think I've told you everything. I don't have any secrets. And he was like, I'm not talking about you. I have something to tell you. And then right as he's about to tell her this secret,
it gets dark, and then boom, part the clouds, open up the heavens. Arishem's face just shows up on the screen, just over the earth. It was so scary. Like, I got goosebumps whenever he pops up on the screen. Like, he's like there, like looking at the earth, and he tells the Eternals that, hey, since you interfered with this, I'm gonna let it slide, but I'm going to look into your memories and judge if this planet and its population is worthy of living. And if not, he's gonna come there and wreck shop himself. And then if you thought that entrance was awesome, his exit as well, he like transforms into a black hole and just vanishes.
It was so dope.
What an exit.
We cut to Thena, Makari, and Druig
On the Dorito.
on the Dorito ship, yes. Traveling, they're in search of Eternals, right? And then all of a sudden, sense something weird, and this drunken troll like stumbles out. Apparently he's Pip the Troll. And then right after him, he's introducing this guy who's Eros, a.k.a. Star Fox, a.k.a. Thanos' brother.
Yeah.
Who says he's there to help locate the other Eternals. And he pulls out
the golden
same
snitch.
Golden snitch. So he also has one. Freaking Harry Styles.
Harry Styles, Captain Watermelon Sugar himself.
Yeah. In the theater, we were just like, what the like, what? Like,
post-credit scene. We are back with Dane, and he's in his office, I think, and we see a giant box on his desk. He opens it, and it's a blade in there, like all wrapped up still. We find out that this is called the Ebony Blade, and it plays into his history, which is what he was about to reveal to Cersei before Big Daddy Airsham shows up. He's contemplating on holding the blade because it'll affect him in some sort of way. But then as he's about to grab the blade, we hear a voice off screen. He's like, hey, are you sure you're ready to wield that blade, or something like that?
and then he turns, and,
And then he
boom,
turns, and then
blackout.
boom,
Yeah.
cut scene.
Cutscene.
It was apparently the new blade, Marshala Ali, who is in the background, because apparently the blade has history with vampires as well.
The first, like, what was it, 30, 40 minutes?
It was the pacing was a mess. It jumps
Yeah.
from like time period to time period, and we're just trying to find a grasp on
Like,
these characters.
And not only that, but, like, stay interested. Like, why should we still be interested in them?
Characters, they came off kind of dull. Like,
Yeah.
we found ourselves, like, not really caring for any of them, and they're not really likable.
Not really good character development.
The only standout that we saw from the movie was Kingo. Like, whenever he first appeared on screen, like, immediately just became, like the movie just kind of breathed a little bit. Like, it was trying to treat itself too serious, but then Kingo shows up, and it's like, oh, comedy, fun,
Thank you,
lightness.
finally, you know?
He was great.
Yeah.
And also, his assistant, Karun.
Oh, they were so funny, dude. Oh, my gosh.
They were very funny. They had great back and forth.
Great
with
back
each
and
other.
forth.
Karun's always like holding a camera because, again, Kumail Nanjiani, Kingo, is a Bollywood star, so Karun has great gimmicks with like cameras and he's holding. And we found that the dialogue was also kind of written poorly at some points. Both of us don't like whenever the audience sees something that's obvious on the screen, and then one of the characters talks about the thing that we just saw. Like, one of the lines from Sprite after like one of the deviants was like showed to be healing itself, Sprite was like, oh my gosh, that deviant healed itself. And the audience is like, we just saw that. We just saw that.
Erisham. Oh my gosh. I mean, every time he showed up and he was talking, like, you felt like he was talking audibly inside your own mind. Like, it was just,
That's a great
his presence was just captivating.
Yeah,
you.
first time we see him on the screen, his face, and then like we see like Salma Hayek talk to him, was like that small, and his face is like
Just,
like
crazy.
goosebumps. Like, he's massive.
like, how do you not be scared of that, you know?
Like, he's barely in the movie, maybe 3-4 minutes, but when he's there, like, he's there.
Yeah. Those shots of space were just dope. Oh my gosh. And the shots of the ancient cities, too.
Yeah, the
like,
ancient cities.
the Mesopotamia, the Babylon.
Even in Tenochtitlan, even though it was like a night scene, it was still, how they did it was great.
Yeah. Music was also by Game of Thrones Ramin Djawadi. The music suited the movie at parts where it needed it to. It was okay. It wasn't something memorable, though. It's not like a Hans Zimmer score where you're like, I'm gonna go listen to this. This is awesome.
I don't even know if there was like an Eternals theme. Like, I wouldn't be able to.
Sucked.
I wouldn't be able to hum it. Like, I don't know what the theme is. Like Captain America, but all that stuff. But here, we didn't hear it. I mean, I'm sure it was might have been there, but
they probably should have done that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the deviants. If you guys thought that the Dark Elves in Thor: The Dark World were useless,
Oh yeah.
they were so poorly written. And they were just
sucked.
kind of there. They kind of looked like weird animals. They looked okay. The movie presents the deviants as like this great enemy, but the movie does a very poor job.
They were not as scary as we would have liked, for sure. Obviously,
Completely forgettable.
Yeah.
It almost makes me angry how useless they were.
Yeah. Yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie's character, freaking useless for 95% of the movie, honestly.
She acted
That
fine.
last
It's
scene-
the character that we're talking
yeah.
about. She was
Yeah.
fine, but the character
Yeah, she did a good job. The character was written very poorly.
She had like what, 10 lines of dialogue?
Yeah. Ajax, Salma Hayek's character too, was in there for like a grand total of like 5 minutes. Okay, if you're gonna have these huge names, why not make them the big stars of the movie? Robb Stark did a great job. Very, very minimal Jon Snow as well. Maybe like 3 or 4 scenes.
He was in there for like maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Some of the shots that they have, we thought that was the most beautiful Marvel movie ever, like shot. Like some of the scenes were just.
The scenes were beautiful looking. Yeah.
This did not feel like a superhero movie. It just felt like a science fiction movie with superheroes.
Which is kind of good.
It was
It
not
worked.
bad. Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't like executed the best. There were very few mentions of the rest of the MCU. Like they talked about Thanos, they talked about the Avengers maybe twice, and then that's it. It's definitely its own its own movie. There was also references to Superman and Batman, like DC Universe.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 references to that, which is interesting.
It threw me off. I was like, I asked Jake in the movie. I was like, can they do that? Can they talk about that? Yeah,
it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I was like, this movie presents a lot of interesting concepts, makes the scale of the Marvel Universe much grander, but there are issues with pacing, and character development was minimal, except maybe for Icarus, but you saw that coming from a mile away.
And some of the writing.
And we can understand why this movie is currently, I think it's at a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics. But the audience does generally like this movie better. I think it might have been on the 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's more science fiction. It's more sort of like a thinking man's sort of science fiction rather than boom, pow, superheroes, muscles. It presents all these concepts well, but it just wasn't executed the best.
So because of that, I give it a score out of 10 of like maybe like 6.5 to max 7.
And I would grade this movie as a C.
Yeah.
Not the best Marvel movie, but it does present lots and lots of new ideas and big consequences for the rest of the MCU. Like whenever they stopped a Celestial from being born, like how does
that play into everything?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll see you on the next movie review.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Reaction Haven. See you guys.